So men are guiding men towards a certain kind of archetypal manhood, which I totally understand. Yeah, you should be strong. Yeah, you should be wealthy. Yeah, all these things. Yeah, this is not interesting. It's obvious. But there's a component that's missing. It's the inner world, depth, which is what I spoke about last time. It's like depth. So when you see these cats, I mean, no disrespect, we are speaking of surface folks. They're like caricatures. They're like cartoon characters. I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. It may sound like this, but genuinely it's not. It's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to say it. It's like everybody's living at the surface. If it happens that you have a nice aesthetic surface because the gene gods gave you lots of bonuses, then it's going good for you. Generally, it could not go good for you because you could just be lazy and do fuck all. But it's always the surface, as if all of life is surface. And what men in general speak about is surface stuff. I have no problem against that. I really genuinely don't. Like there's a problem, you need to fix it, you need to deal with everyday life. Yeah, fine. But there's more to life than the surface. And men are terrified. I'm going to say that again. Men are absolutely, completely terrified about everything that is not the surface, which is attributed to the realm of the feminine. Not feminine the way you imagine. Feminine meaning darkness, nighttime, the moon, uncontrolled, unbridled, chaotic. And men for countless generations, they have been conditioned. Society, women within that society also are conditioned. What is society trying to do for thousands of years? Take control of nature. Nature is the enemy. I don't care what people pretend that they want to say. Everybody's trying to take control of nature. This is the paradigm in which we're living. The Western world, which has become the modern world, is all about control nature. So the men and the women who live within that paradigm are all conditioned under that religious mindset. But women are women. They will always be women. And they, by their own natural rhythm and cycles, are connected to something else, whether they like it or not. No matter how hard they try, once a month, if they're more or less healthy, something takes over that is not under their control. They don't have a choice. They're always shocked, brought back somehow, some way, that there is another realm of reality. If you follow a woman's menstrual cycle, something happens to her, she sheds, and she goes into a space. Whether she resists it or go with it, or it's something in her hormonal system. It's not really hormonal system. The hormonal system is the physical expression of what's actually happening to her. Fine. She goes in on a journey and she lets go of the surface reality. She doesn't have a choice. Even if she tries to maintain it internally, she's absorbed by something else. There's a process happening inside of her. And that's happening throughout the month. It's like an underlying current that she goes through beneath the everyday surface life that everyone has to go through. You have to go to work, take your bus, take your car, you put your makeup on, you look like you know what you're talking about, you look like you're totally in charge, you're absolutely in command and in control. But underneath, something's happening. And she's going through a process that is constantly reminding her, even if she doesn't want nothing to do with it, that there's another clock, there's another rhythm happening simultaneously beneath your iWatch or whatever nonsense you're wearing on your wrist. Men, they don't have that. They kind of do. But let's say, to simplify the conversation for the time being, it's like they don't have that. So they can really establish themselves at the surface and pretend that this is what life is about. But the reality is, this is the truth, they are fundamentally terrified of that underworld. They are scared shitless. because it doesn't follow the same rules that they are so attached to and that they're so proud of applying in their surface life. The rules of business, where you use, I'm sorry, I hate those expressions. The so-called right brain, which is the masculine brain. Or is it the opposite? Who knows? But I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So they're so proud that they're able to apply logic, intelligence, calculation, step-by-step analysis. What's what I call geek shit. These things are necessary in order to build a bridge. These things are necessary if you want to build a city. These things are necessary if you want to build a building. Fine, they have a place, respect. But that's not what I'm talking about. They act as if that's the only kind of intelligence that exists. It's the one that's visible in this day and age. But underneath, there's a whole other realm. And they're terrified of it because in that realm, all of that nonsense, all of that mind, all of that intellectualism, all of that control applies zero. Nothing. It doesn't matter how high you jump and how fast you run. If I put you in the ocean, what does it change? If you don't know how to swim, you're screwed. It doesn't matter if you can outrun a tiger. This is another kind of creature. It's a fish. It's a tuna. It's a shark. It's a dolphin. It's an octopus. It's a I don't know what. An eel. Okay? It's another realm. And the men, for the most part, I generalize, I say they don't, but for the most part, they don't know nothing about that, or very, 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 very little. And the more they establish themselves at the surface, the more they're trying to squeeze and make this disappear. But this doesn't disappear ever. It just is pent up and the pressure grows. So my question is, how is it that you can become a man, a full man, and have an actual life of fullness if more than 90% of your being is hidden and unconscious? It just doesn't make any sense. When I look at the models of manhood, this is what I've received in my education, through the media, through television, my own family, my parents, people in my surroundings, my father's friends, etc., etc. It's people who are at the surface. These are successful people. They did great. They build cities. They're like pillars of the modern world. We'll speak about what they did another time, but this is not just a person who had a bakery. Not that there's something wrong with a bakery. I'm talking about like high-level engineers that run shit, who are in positions of power and affluence. So I witnessed this. And from a point of view, it's like, yeah, that's great. Look at what you can construct. But when you actually feel them, their lives, there's an emptiness. Although society kind of tries to give you a meaning to your life, if you really feel yourself, for you, it doesn't satisfy you. Because it's a sham. As we can clearly see with what's going on today, society isn't what you were made to believe it is it? That's another subject. We'll talk about it or go more into in detail later on. So when you perceive the vibe of these men, something is missing. Although they have achieved some great things, and through their minds and intellect have achieved great heights and constructed amazing things and great feats. It's awesome. It's like, I've said it before, I'm like, what's the meaning? There's no meaning. You can invent yourself a meaning. You can say that, well, I've accomplished this and I've accomplished that. Yeah, but what's the meaning of it? Who cares? That's my question. What does this have to do with life? Maybe within the context of society, which is a sham. You've accomplished great things because of your work. It's like every day people, they drive from here to there, they cross a bridge. There's some magical genius engineer that conceived that bridge, worked with architectures and a bunch of workers who gave everything they had to build that bridge. These guys are dead. You don't even know who the person who built the bridge is. You'll never know. They don't put pictures. You'll never know who these people are. And most likely they've invested, like in order to build that bridge, somebody had to work his ass off for 20, 30, 40 years to have the knowledge and the know-how. We're not talking about they built a bridge 5 years ago. We're talking about they built a bridge, let's say 100 years ago, where everything was complicated and hard and you didn't have the machinery necessary to make it easy like this. Everything was complex. Everything was the hard way. So in order to be able to build that bridge, that person had to be a master that today, the level of mastership today would never compare. And the kinds of problems that they had in the troubleshooting, today everything is easy compared to this, okay? So he spent all his life to learn how to master that in order to build a bridge, okay? Now thank God he built a bridge. It makes everybody's life easier. What's the meaning of it? So he can say, well, I died, I built a bridge, I helped the evolution of society. I've solved problems for people who now can cross from this side of the bank into this side of the bank of the river. Great. Who cares? Okay? This is what I say. It only has meaning in the context of society and the building of a city within a greater structure. But this society isn't plugged into something that has actual value for you. It's not connecting you to life. You're not serving life with a capital L. That means a big storyline, a cosmic storyline, the storyline, the very thing that you go watch in movies. Star Wars, Lords of the Ring, something epic that suddenly gives meaning and makes everything makes sense. If you watch Lords of the Ring, for example, you read the book or whatever it is, right? Suddenly everything makes sense. All the characters come together. Everything is brought together into one. Because there's one narrative that connects everything and everyone together. Everything makes sense. The difference between this person, that tribe and that tribe, everything makes perfect sense. And when you can align and bring all these pieces together, something magical is happening, and it's connecting you to something that is more than your little life and your children's little life. It's about, in this case, I don't like the concept of good and evil, but I think you can understand. It's about powers. It's about something beyond your little life and beyond your little realm, something at a scale that is hard to fathom. But it is at the very foundation of your life. It is at the very foundation of everyone's life in that realm. And your service is beyond, I just did a bridge to help a person cross from here to there. It's cosmic. It stretches throughout time because you're addressing the core fundamental issue of life with a capital L from infinite negative to infinite positive. It's total. So if you live in that light, your life suddenly starts to have an actual meaning. It's not just I did a bridge. There's nothing wrong with a bridge. Really, this is not what I'm trying to say.